So let's see. Let's talk about the death march a little bit more. No food, no water.
I don't know as much as I should about that. One reason, I had malaria and running high fever. But the main thing I remember about the march, once we got started, is like I said, they started killing one another, and I was walking along the march by myself. The main thing I remember so much is nothing to eat, nothing to drink. Well, we could handle being hungry for a day or two, but after about 2 or 3 days, that high temperature, your mouth got where it felt like you're full of leaves. And thirst is much, much worse than being hungry. And I don't remember what nights, and don't remember how long the march was, but I had walked about 2 or 3 days and moved along a little at night. I'd hide out by the road at night and sit for rest a while. About the third night, they had a barbed wire place for us. We went in about dark and stayed till the next morning. And we did that about 3 nights in a row. But they didn't give you nothing. Once or twice they give you a little bowl of rice. But come to find out later on, but the Japanese didn't think it was over 2,000 or 3,000 of us. They wasn't prepared for that many. Of course, they had the Filipinos too. They wasn't prepared. They just didn't have it. I don't know whether they give it to us if they had it or not, but they didn't have it. They wasn't prepared. They wasn't prepared to capture that many men.
Did you get some water out of the trenches?
Well, yeah, you go along there and maybe a little creek or find a hole maybe 10 to 15 foot wide right by the roadside. And if you didn't see too many Japs right around, I'd go along. I had a canteen and I'd just reach over and get some water in that canteen. And I don't know why, where it come from, nothing about it. It's always been a mystery to me. But I had a little small bottle of iodine stuck in the, I had a pair of coveralls on, and a small bottle of iodine stuck in that pocket where you put flyers. And I remember finding it, and you put about a drop or two in the canteen of that bloody water, it purified it. So I really got a little water on the march, but that's all I got. And where the iodine come from, God only knows.
Well, and that's somewhat of a miracle, I guess.
I think so, yeah. I always thought so.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody's a good reason for it, but I don't know the reason.
How many days did the death march last?
Well, I was at the end of I was right where it started, just as far as back as you could go. And, of course, some of the boys on up there, they didn't have to walk as far as I do, because when they surrendered it. I really don't know, Fred. I'd say 8 or 9 days. I don't know. I just don't know.
And where did you arrive?
We arrived at a little town called San Fernando. It was a small town, probably 10,000, 12,000 people, but they had a railroad station there. And they put us on the freight cars. So most of the cars had whole cattle in. All those cattle in it. They put us in and just packing and they keep packing it and they just keep pushing it. We had several guys die from couldn't get no air. And that lasted, seemed to me like we was on that 3 or 4 hours. Then we got off at a railroad station, Tarlac. Seemed like it's Tarlac, the name of it. Then we had about 2 hours walk to Camp O'Donnell. And that was a hell of all of it. They put us all in there and didn't have no water. They had 1 or 2 little spaces. What Camp O'Donnell was 3 or 4 buildings that the Filipino Army had trained in. Like I told you, they wasn't nothing to put on. They had 1 or 2 little water spigots in there, but I think it was out of water. We couldn't get no water. And we were living over 100 Americans a day. Over 100 Americans a day. I was in better shape than most of them, and I had to help bury them. And the people over up in Manila, they got a big national cemetery and got all the guys' graves marked. Well, some of those guys didn't get there because some of those guys, even in my company, we buried him at Camp O'Donnell, and he wouldn't let us take our dog tag off. Wouldn't let us take that dog tag off. So some of those graves marked in Manila, my body wasn't moving. I know for a fact. We would bury 20 or 30 of them in a hole about the size of this room. and wasn't going very deep. Rainy season didn't start. We wasn't going very deep, and I'm sure those bodies was bad shape in a week or 10 days.
At Camp Bataan, did they have barbed wires around the perimeter?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the sad thing about it, they had a river with lots of water in it, about 300 yards down there. You could see the branches, you couldn't see the roots. And all they had to do is put one strand of barbed wire and let us go down and get the water. And they would have lost hardly any of us because they were dying from lack of water. And we all had malaria by then, and dysentery. Dysentery was killing them. They were crapping all over. You'd see them set by they'd have open a train that dig, and you'd see guys so sick they couldn't get up, and they'd sit right by the other train all day. That little train was rough.
So there's like one spigot of water, you said?
As best I can remember, one spigot of water was lined up, and you didn't get no water. You didn't get no water.
Waited all day long, I guess.
Yeah. I know of a guy named Courtney. He was a real nice guy. He's from South Carolina, and he was in my company. We were pretty good friends. And in fact, I went to his wedding 2 weeks before we left to go overseas. And during the fighting, I stayed with him some, and I run into him at Camp Bataan. I was laying down on the dirt there right by him, and we'd been there 2 or 3 nights. And he looked at me and said, "Stanley, we can't make it." And I said, "Oh, yes, we can." Next morning, woke up, he was dead. It was awfully easy to die. It sure was a lot easier to die than it was to stay alive. I guess the next question is after I left Bataan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it'd be after you left Bataan, where did you go?
This is the day Grady fell. Grady fell on May the 6th. We surrendered on April the 9th, see? And we made that death march, and we got State Camp O'Donnell's state. And on May the 6th, they come in there with 2 or 3 trucks, the Japanese. And then no record of it, and that's who it was, nothing about it. Said they wanted some men to go to work. I said, "My God, I can't be any worse than this." So I got on the truck. Widest move I ever made. It came into Clark Field, which is the big air base over there right under Manila. And they set up camp there. I helped set up the camp. Put wire around it, and they had nice barracks. And we had all the water we wanted. You could lay down and turn the water hose all night. They didn't care. We had all the water we wanted. So I knew I had made a good move. And I stayed there 2.5 years. In fact, I stayed there at the opening. I was there when it opened, and I was there when they closed it. I did not. Some of the guys, the Japs, would come in with trucks, and they wanted a dozen men to go some off another camp and work. And guys jump on, and I wouldn't, because I knew I had plenty of water, and I was surviving. I had to steal a little food, and some of the Japs would give me a little bit, and I'd work with the same Jap a while. So I just stayed there until they sent me to Japan. I was about the only guy I know of, and none of the rest of them can't hardly believe it. I never was at Combatant 1. Combatant 1 was a big hospital where we sent all the sick people, and guys would come and go. In Clarkfield, they'd come and go. And I never went to Combatant 1. I went straight from Clarkfield to Manila, stayed 2 or 3 days, and got on a ship went to Japan.
Talk to me about what was the meals like, the food like,
In the Philippines, in Clark, well, they had 2 100-gallon kettles, and Americans could cook the rice. And sometimes the Americans know how to cook it, sometimes they didn't. But it's a little cup of rice, I guess about the same size as a coffee cup, full of rice, twice a day. Then sometime they would fix you a small box to take out on a work detail with you if you're going to be gone all day. And besides what we stole and cooked and figured up on our own, that's all we had. We would dig roots, and we'd find bushes that we could cook, roots that we cooked. Some of the Filipinos would tell us what roots we could, and that substitute our rice. And I found out later that the rice we were eating was 2nd and 3rd class rice. It had husk all over it. It wasn't a shiny, clear rice. And the doctor said later on, if we had got that clear rice, we wouldn't live, because that husk on that rice more food value than the rice itself. So the Japs gave us, but we swapped a lot of stuff. I know that once or twice I was on the kitchen detail, and I made some shoes out of wood. We had that old Filipino heart. Made some shoes out of wood and carved inside and made a top with your foot set on. Then when I get in one of those kitchens and wasn't no job looking, I fill both shoes full of rice. You know, not cooked rice, just plain rice. Then I'd carry it into camp and cook it, have extra rice. Rice would have been okay if we just had enough of it.
Tell me about the limes.
Oh yeah, I had diarrhea and dysentery and skin disease, a little bit of everything, and we call what they call dry berry from malnutrition. Your skin would get raw and you couldn't see, and of course you ate all over. But one day, same Jap guard I had worked with several times, he'd come and pick me out and pick about a dozen of us out, and I'd worked with him for probably 2 or 3 months. He carries a Clarksville water system about 2 miles up in the mountains. To clean it out, and we had some buckets up there, and we cleaned that water treatment thing out and wash it and scrub it. And I looked up and saw some lime trees, and I worked myself to death that day because I wanted some of those limes. And I asked this same Jap guard could I have them when I started in, and I had a bucket where I'd been handling that water, and he let me carry a bucket of limes in, and I ate 1 or 2 a day, and berry before it went away. My skin, I quit itching and it quit aching, and my gums would get better. See, my gums got where you could just stump with your finger and knock a tooth out, your gums would bleed all the time. But that had enough vitamin C.
Now, you know, you come walking into camp with a bucket of limes. Aren't you concerned that somebody might steal those limes?
The guys are pretty good about not stealing. Pretty good about not stealing. And that's one thing every guy kind of looked out at himself. I gave a few of them away and I tried to hide them, but most everybody was working, so there wasn't nobody in camp to steal them.